Okay, hello and welcome to my first experiment builder guide. Hopefully you should have it installed and have this fresh empty window open. In this tutorial I'll be just going over some basics of what you need to do to make a very simple experiment. I'll point out now that basically when I test run an experiment on this computer, the video recorder software will still be recording, and I'll do a voiceover of what I'm seeing, and you should be seeing the same thing. Unfortunately, I can't actually record the images that come out of the experiment when we're testing it. I don't think so anyway, at least as far as I've been able to work out. But you'll be able to get the idea anyway, and it'll be good for you to test it on your own computer in itself. Okay, so let's begin by making a test experiment. So we'll go to File and New. Okay, so we're going to call it just Test, and then we're going to uncheck iLink experiment, because for now we are not going to be making eye tracking stuff. You can obviously, though, if you change your mind and you want to put eye tracking stuff into it, you can just click another checkbox later on, and then like magic it's all suddenly appeared in there. Okay, that's just a generic warning, not very exciting. Okay, so we get this first nice empty area to begin with. There's loads and loads of buttons here, and I could spend 20 minutes telling you what they all do, but I don't think any of us would be particularly interested in listening to me going on about that. So what I'm going to do is basically just show you some very simple stuff. Okay, so you've got start thing here. It's like a little set of traffic lights, helpfully labelled start. That's where the experiment starts. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go up to here, grab this thing that looks like a computer monitor, click it with the mouse, drag it down, and then let go of it down here. Have a go at doing that yourself. For some people, getting the hang of this is a bit tricky. It is a bit weird. You're basically just picking up a monitor from the top of the screen and throwing it into this area here. What we then need to do is we need to connect the start element, which is where the whole experiment starts, to our display screen. And to do that, we click this thing here, the start, and then we drag without letting go of the mouse down to display screen. You'll see a green arrow becoming between the two of them, and then when they're connected like that nicely, you let go. There you go. So now you can see start is connected to display screen. The way this works is it has a very simple procedural way of working, and you start at the start and then it follows a flow of arrows. Basically it's just a flow chart of different interactions, triggers, actions and other bits and pieces that it can do. And then for now what we want to do is we want to test that out. Okay, so we're going to just have a go and see what it looks like, just so we can actually test run our very first experiment. It won't do much at the moment, but there we go. So if you follow the old mouse up to here, where there's, if you hover over the little play symbol at the top of the screen, you see it, when you hover over that, it will pop up with a little thing saying test run. That allows you to then test your experiment and then see to make sure if it's working or not. Like I said earlier, I'll be test running these things quite a lot, so let's do that now. It's important to test it. Every little change that you make, it's very important to test it, even if it's only a very minor change, because if you sit there and make thousands of changes to your experiment and then you've made one error somewhere, it'll be very, very hard to fish out where that error is. So if you make tiny changes then test, tiny changes then test, it's much easier, because then you can see exactly where you've introduced your error. Okay, so when you hit the test run button, you'll come up with this little confirm box, but basically just reminds you that you're not supposed to be using this for collecting data. It's only for testing purposes. The reasons which are not interesting or important right now, but it's just just make sure you just use this for testing only. Then you hit yes, it'll put it all together, a little drum roll, and then it asks for a session name. You can just leave that as test and hit OK. Then you should get a grey screen come up for a little while, and then it should go black, and then it should all pop back again into Experiment Builder. From your perspective of the video, you'll only have seen it go black, but like I said, the video software doesn't record that properly. Okay, so if we go back to our experiment, so you'll notice after the test run we came out in this output tab up here. That gives us, if we had an error of some kind, it would have come up with an error there. Okay, there were no errors. This is a very simple thing to do. Okay, so what we then do is click on the experiment tab up here to go back to the experiment area. So this is kind of like a little drawing area where you can drag things and do interactions and things like that. So what I advise is that you play around with it a bit if you want. Let's have a go with this. If you click and then make a box like this to select more than one thing, you can then select them and drag them. Have a go at doing that if you want. It's quite fun. If you want to disconnect two elements, you can click on the little arrow between the two things like this. It'll be highlighted with a yellow area here, and then you press delete. Okay, then of course you can do really daft things like drawing an arrow. So if you drag it out to here, say, from the start thing, and then let go of the mouse, it continues to follow your mouse around, so you can have some fun with it like this if you really want to. This is all a bit silly, obviously, but the point is that it's good to get a nice old bit of experience with the software that you're going to be staring at for many hours before you dive into it completely. Okay, so on this fantastic bit of artwork, we will end the first one there. And if you connect the two up in this very silly fashion and test run it, you will find, I can guarantee you, that it'll work perfectly just as it did before. Okay,